Good morning. So, for those of you that maybe see me for the first time, my name's David, and I've been in recovery for a long time, like a long time, and it just I started doing last May. I started to read online this little 24-hour day book, and at the time I was reading it, um, we were in kind of early days of the pandemic, and I just wanted to give something to people that would lift them up on a daily basis. And so I started the reading, and it's kind of evolved. Now we're like 9 months into it. We haven't missed a day, and it's evolved into more of a, you know, as people have been getting in touch with me, and I've seen a whole different picture of addiction and recovery, alcoholism and recovery than I'd even seen in my many years in recovery. It's just a bigger, broader picture, and so I'm kind of focused now on talking about more about addiction and recovery from a point of view of just carrying the message, but also from um, to help or carry the message to family. Uh, you know, for every addict or alcoholic, there's there's family and friends. Untold numbers of often confused and scared and troubled a family, and so a lot of my message is to those folks. How do the big questions are, what do I do with my brother or my father or my mother, who's an alcoholic, or my son or my daughter who's an alcoholic or an addict, and how do I deal with it? And that's it. Like, it's so broad. you know Everybody has an addict or an alcoholic in their family somewhere that they've either ostracized and said, don't invite him to the family parties, don't invite her to our stuff, don't, or they've catered to in such a way that they've enabled that person. So it's often one or the other, and because there's a lack of awareness of what to do. What do I do with you know the drunken uncle or dad? Can't invite him to the wedding. You know, all those things, and in their kind of our modern world, um, maybe mom married two or three alcoholics, because that happens, and there's so that's what I'm focusing on, and um, to carry a message around addiction. Now, I personally work with lots of addicts, and I'm open to any conversation that you might have on that. Okay, and I just feel drawn to carry the message in this area. I want to read you a little note. I get lots of correspondence, and people sending me, you know, well, thank yous and all that kind of stuff. But this is um, the other day I did a post like this, and all my posts end up on YouTube. I'd love it if you go and follow my YouTube channel. She says, I can relate. I cut my parents off and my brother later in adult life. My brothers. I cut my parents and my brothers off later in adult life. All during those times, I didn't know my life was swimming in addiction, or what addiction was, and uh, later how to deal with it. I didn't know. I didn't know, or see, or understand they were not bad, but very unwell people, as I was. So, what a beautiful sharing, right? As I was. My thinking was distorted too by living with alcoholism and addiction. They are all dead now, right? They're all dead now. My amends today is my own recovery through Al-Anon. Thank you for being here. Love to hear the sharings of experience, strength, and hope, the readings, and the sitting, being quiet. And mental sobriety is mine. Mine for the taking, one moment at a time, if I am willing. Blessings, she said. I didn't cause alcoholism and its effects. the unmanageability in my life when I try to control what is not my business. I can't control alcoholism and I can't cure it. So today I can admit my powerlessness and redirect my energies into recovery from its effects. Beautiful written letter. Thank you. And you know, the big thing, I mean, one of the things with the disease is, being aware that we didn't cause it, that we didn't cause it. We can't control it. We can't cure it, you know, and it's just, so for the families, um, it's my message is that, and so what do we do with the alcoholic on the practical side? There's a program called Al-Anon, and I encourage to look into, and lots of times families say, well, it's not my problem, it's theirs, but it is a family disease. It affects. It doesn't matter if we're talking about a son or a daughter. Um, I think first of all, we should become aware that the prognosis is not good. Over the long term, most alcoholics um, don't make it. Alcoholics and addicts, many do not recover. Period. But in some way, if we're working on our own recovery, we can be an example for the alcoholic and the addict in our family. So that's the kind of the message that I want to carry, is that we can be an example, and yeah. So I'm going to do my reading, which we do every day. And this is from a little book. It was written in 1954. Um, so I also encourage you, if you have any comments or thoughts about this, recovery from alcoholism, and I'd love to hear from you. What's the date? The date must be the 24th, is it? My gosh, it is the 24th. Um, okay. So we're just going to read from this little book. This little book was written in 1954, and beautiful, message for at the time uh, to the addicts and alcoholics that were kind of all bunched together. Now we have NA and CA and GA and SA and CMA, and the 12 steps have been used in so many different platforms. So, but this was written published in 1954. When we came to our first 12-step meeting, it says a meeting, but when we came to our first 12-step meeting, we looked up at the wall at the end of the room and saw the sign, "But for the grace of God." We knew right then that we that we would have to call on the grace of God in order to get sober and get over our soul sickness. We heard speakers tell how they had come to depend on a power greater than themselves. That made sense to us, and we made up our minds to try it. And for any alcoholic that we know that gets recovery, it's interesting that there's so many concepts of this idea of a higher power. And don't let your prejudice or your old ideas or your Sunday school ideas of God keep you from discovering the multiple concepts. The door is open very wide to make contact with what we conceive to be a higher power, what we see as a higher power. Meditation for the day. Share your love, your joy, and your happiness, your time, your food, and your money gladly with all. Wow. Share your love, your joy, your happiness, your time, your food, your money gladly with all. Give out all the love you can with a glad, free heart and hand. Do all that you can for others, and back will come such countless stories of blessings. But remember, as we give, we're not giving to get. They're saying it's a fact. It does come back multiple. But just to give service without any thought of return is the key. Do all you can for others, and back will come such countless stores of blessing. Sharing draws others to you. Take all who come as sent by God. Take all who come as sent by God and give them a royal welcome. You may never see the results of your sharing. That's right. Today, they may not need you, but tomorrow may bring results from the sharing you did today. Love it. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may make each visitor desire to return. I pray that I may never make anyone feel repulsed or unwanted. Yeah, and to all of that requires, a certain level of presence, right? Certain level of presence. So how do we get present? How do we, how do we, how do we come into the moment? How do we be here now? If we want to connect with a higher power, if we want to be able to see people, to really, not be just how we've been most of our lives. The the root of the disease is selfishness and self-centeredness, and believe it or not, and so we need to have a shift, like psychic change, and the psychic change is to uh, instead of what's in it for me, to look at how can I serve thee. How can I make a difference? How can I help out? Where can I give? And our life becomes that without looking for returns. Like, okay, put me in, coach. I'm ready to go, and it shifts in a huge way. And I guess I feel so grateful to be able to do this, because this is my giving back, and here we are with, this COVID thing going on. We don't get out as much, and I certainly don't get to as many face-to-face meetings, and so this is my giving back. And so let's find a way to share. Today, pick up the phone, call people, call two or three people and say hello, how you doing, and listen. Listening is loving. So be the listener. Listening is loving. And so do that today. Call a few people and say, how are you doing? Just for no particular reason. You don't need anything. Just calling to see that they're okay, and give them some love. So, and that's giving. We can do that. We can give from our heart that way, and that lifts us up. And when we're lifted up, we're in less danger of selfish and self-centered and self-seeking and dishonest thoughts. So that's kind of my message for today. Normally, what I do, and I think I will again, I just do a little bit of meditation. So we're going to just take I don't even call it meditation. I call it sitting. And for the alcoholic and the addict to actually sit quietly for even 3 minutes is so difficult, right? But that's what we're going to do. We're just going to sit quiet, if it's even for just 3 minutes, okay? And make this a practice as part of our daily routine when we're doing step 11. To just take a little time to just be without a lot of thoughts or concerns, not planning, not focusing on goals, just be here with no particular place to go. Just be here now, no past, no future, no question. And watch, when you're there, watch the thoughts. And if you can actually be in a place of watching your thoughts, you'll soon recognize that you're not your thoughts. That there's just seems like a mill that's always churning out thoughts that are random and maybe related to you, but not, or to your life or to your story, but not really you. And when we can get to a place of realizing that we're not our thoughts, it's beautiful. And then we recognize that we're actually a guest, even in our bodies. That, we may say my body because we know it's not I. It's it's a vehicle, and we get to pass through life with it. So drop in for a minute, close your eyes, and just drop in for a second. This becomes a practice. It is part of our recovery to be able to sit quietly. Just drop into your breath. Become present in your body. become aware of your feet and knees, and hips, belly, chest. Be here in this moment, in this body. If thoughts come up of, oh, I should be doing this or should be doing that, just come back to the breath. That stuff will all wait. Just come back to the breath. Okay. I'm going to leave, but you can stay and just stay in this little meditation, stay in this little quiet spot. Be still. Find that stillness, that isness, that oneness. And just be there. And believe me that you will find this if we continue this practice. It is part of the awakening. Okay, love you guys. Thanks for listening and checking us out. Bye.